Oh, yeah. What's going on? The RCWR Show, August 7th, 2018, covering the very latest in wrestling, entertainment, and beyond since 2011. Lee Sanders here. Thank you guys for dropping on in on this episode, be it live or on demand and or on the downloads. Appreciate the support as always. Oh, Lord have mercy. What a interesting week. I have to say to you guys, a very interesting week. Come one, come all. We're streaming live on all the usual platforms, man. Special shout out to those of you in particular that's checking us out via the RCWR Show app that is available for free in the Google Play Store. Just use the keywords, the RCWR Show. Also coming at you guys on YouTube and on Facebook and also on the Spreaker.com website as well. So however you're checking it out, do appreciate that. And we'll talk a little bit about Smackdown in a bit. I do not have the newest episode of Ms. and Mrs. recording in the background. I'm a little bit bummed out, but I wonder if the episodes are actually available on demand, because if they are available on demand, then I don't have anything to worry about. I really don't need to be going out of my way to record the episodes and all that. So for my respected cable provider, I'm pushing Verizon Fios. So shout out to you fellow Verizon Fios customers out there. If you guys are aware whether or not Ms. and Mrs. is streamed on demand, let me know. Otherwise, I still have a little bit of time. I got like about maybe 25 minutes left. I can easily just go on ahead and hit the DVR right now. But I've been enjoying what I've been seeing from those guys so far. So I'm trying to figure out where we want to begin with this show. Or I guess first off, since last we were on the air, not really too much has gone down, but there's enough for us to talk about this week. I mean, there were definitely a couple of eyebrow-raising moments since last we were on the air, and we'll definitely talk a bit about that. I do hope in between y'all have been doing pretty good. I am fantastic over here. Honestly, it is August 7th, and for me right now, TikTok, because time is just a ticking away until the fateful trip, the journey on over to Chicago to participate in this CM Punk event that's going to be going down as part of basically All In Weekend. Although Cody and the gang, they have not said anything as far as whether or not CM Punk is going to be there at the event, right? But I'm just, as the days are counting down, I'm just eagerly anticipating that more and more and more, because for me, it's definitely going to be a bit of a special homecoming because born and raised in Chicago, I have not been back in Chicago since I was 10. So to be able to go out there, I'm still very familiar with a lot of the neighborhoods. I've always been keeping tabs on what's been going on in Chicago. And it's kind of funny that we're talking about Chicago, because eventually we're going to segue into some of the crazy crap that has been going on in Chicago. But I'm excited. I can't wait to go back there and try to look up some old family members, some long lost friends, and just visit the old stomping grounds. But I tell you what was just the icing on the cake, right? For me personally, kicking back in between the last show and to now, it was hilarious seeing how all of a sudden we had a boatload of wrestling news media outlets that were saying, oh, with regards to people that's trying to see the All-In event and you're not going to be able to be there in person, have no fear, because there's some type of an announcement that's going to be coming. Supposedly WGN may be airing it. And then you had other reports that was floating around. Well, it's going to be streamed, but nobody had anything definitive. And then we had the official statement be put out by Cody and the Young Bucks earlier this week, basically saying, I believe that news had dropped. I want to say the news had actually dropped on Monday. And I remember as I was beginning my commute to work and I heard about that, the rumblings for that, I put out a message. And if you guys are following me on Twitter, which you really should, because I do my very best to stay interactive with you guys in between the shows, I'm kind of getting a little bit more looser with regards to interacting and all that. It's just all about what the hell I'm doing at that moment, honestly. but I basically had retrieved a previous tweet that I put out, and I had said, remember the timestamp for this tweet, and it was from about 2 weeks ago. And in that tweet, I'm paraphrasing, but it's probably out of 100%, it's probably 90% accurate what I had said, which was make note of the timestamp for this tweet. And remember, you heard it from me first. I have it on very good and reliable sources that for those not able to be at the All In event in person, that with regards to the event streaming, it will be happening. And I ended that with, please don't ask me to kiss and tell, because I'm not going to tell you what I know, and I'm not going to tell you my sources. And sure enough, the big announcement had came. Now, those that initially had reported something about WGN, those folks that initially came across that piece of information and it wasn't a copy and paste type of deal to the actual wrestling news media outlets that got that part of the equation right, yeah, for sure. But WGN, they're going to be airing a all-in pre-show. And as far as the event itself goes, it will be streaming on pay-per-view, and it's going to be available on FITE TV. So honestly, for those of you that, you're probably like me, which is, you remember when the tickets had first went on sale for All In, you probably were like me and you said, oh, you know what? I'll have plenty of time. There's going to be tickets for everybody. I'll be able to go in a month from now. I'll be able to buy a ticket. I'm not really tripping over that. And the tickets were sold out in less than 30 minutes. And you're going, what the hell? Why are the tickets already gone, right? And so from that moment on, when the tickets were sold out, I have to do that, because if you've been keeping track on everything that's been happening with this All In event, it just seems like there's been more and more tickets that have been popping up from, and we know the nature of the beast. We get it, because at the end of the day, you've got certain media outlets that are able to work out a deal and they get a hold of X amount of tickets, and you don't need the whole spill, but we get it. We know at the end of the day, it's a numbers game. It's a hype game. We get that. But once the tickets had went out, it was sold out. Everybody's going, well, hell, we didn't really have an opportunity. What the hell? We want to be able to go to this event. Hook us up. What's going on? And that was the next question after it was revealed the event sold out. Okay, well, is this going to be streaming on pay-per-view? And the questions would always be asked about that. And the answer was always the same, which is not really sure that's capable. All we're really concerned about right now is trying to put on a decent card, and haven't really gone that far in talks just yet. We're just really worried about the tickets themselves to this event selling out. We want to see 10,000 seats get sold out. And once that had happened, it was like, not really sure. But I told you guys right here on this very show, almost 2 weeks ago, I said, hey, according to my sources, this is what's going on. And I'm still not kissing and telling as far as who my sources were and all that. But I'm telling you, if you have not subscribed to the RCWR show, or you're not following me on social media, you really need to start, because once in a blue moon, I have my own respected news that I'm able to share. And trust me, I do my best to cross-reference my stuff. The opportunities that I am in a position where I'm able to break some type of a news, I always cross-reference and make sure that everything is on point before I get ready to talk about it. Because last thing I want to do is be coming on the show and I'm inaccurate like a mother, because then it's like, ooh, egg on your face. But no, if you just go back and you look at everything I said on the show the past 2 weeks ago, and you match that up to the tweet that I had put out, I was very specific. I mean, what would have been like the kiss of death, honestly, if I would have been so specific that I would have named where the pay-per-view was going to be streaming. Like if I would have named FITE TV, or if I would have named whoever, that I think that really, and I'm glad I did it the way that I did it, because as long as I've been doing this show, I've never been one to kiss and tell. I've never been one to say, oh, well, this person had told me. I never like doing that. I always usually just try to say, hey, according to my respected sources, this is what had came about. But I mean, seriously, for those of you that's not able to be at this all-in event, I would like to think that now that you know it's going to be on pay-per-view. So at this point, all you got to do is just basically check with your respected cable satellite providers. I would like to believe that now more than ever, it fuels your desire to want to see what's going to be happening with this event. And I tell you what, nothing is going to be more satisfying to me than after I do the whole CM Punk meet and greet, I'm pretty much enjoying a nice commute back home. And by the time I get home, I'll be in my own bed or chilling on my sofa, remote in hand, big old flat screen TV, watching the all-in event, already have the equipment ready to go, be able to check out, you know, what you guys are saying, interact with you guys, and then most importantly, do an after show once the event is over. That's going to be pretty awesome, just to be able to have all my equipment ready to go, and kind of like what we always do once some of these shows and pay-per-views go off the air, whereas dragging all the damn equipment on out there, which makes no sense whatsoever. So last little thing I had to figure out was what dates I was going to be staying out there, because I was trying to navigate it and handle my schedule as best accordingly to make sure it matches up with the missus, because she had to clear a couple of areas at work. And long story short, we now got our dates locked up. So if you ask me what's one really cool ass thing I'm looking to accomplish while I'm out there, that's honestly see my good friend, see my good buddy Anthony Missionary Thomas from Wrestling Suit, man, and shout out to him, my amigo. Definitely want to, you know, get with him and see if maybe we could shoot something for you guys. I think that'd be pretty damn awesome if we did like a on location edition of the RCWR show out in Chi-Town, talking with Mish and everything. I think you guys would definitely enjoy that. So now that I know officially what the dates are that I'm going to be heading out there, I'm definitely going to be getting with him and seeing how his calendar is looking and all that. But I can't wait to go to Chicago. Going to be a lot of fun stuff that's going to be going down. You know, we had talked about this at the very beginning of last week's show, and I do want to bring this up now because I think it's only fair, because we had brought it up at the beginning of the show. And, you know, look, at the end of the day, when you get right down to the heart of the matter, those that actually take the time out and they get to know me, I'm genuinely a really cool dude. And I know that, you know, we got to segue a little bit. Let's be 100 for a minute here. So last week's episode, we were talking about the stuff that had went down with Epic Sports. Now, look, I apologize if some people might have had their feathers ruffled by me mentioning that point about, hey, Epic, if you continue to upload my clips, I'm going to take your channel down. Look, let's get something straight here. Speaking as somebody that has been a YouTuber since 2011, I fucking respect the hell out of any and everybody that decides they want to do a live web series, or they just want to do a web series, a video series in general every single week. And they decide that they want to use YouTube as that avenue to get their voice, to get their product, to get their brand across. I respect any and everybody that decides they want to go ahead and they want to do this, because regardless, whether it is somebody that is covering wrestling, whether it's somebody that's covering their love for music or movies, cosmetics, hair and beauty tips, gaming, you name it, to put out the amount of content that a YouTube creator does, they focus on the quality and they also focus on the quantity. You can't just have one without the other. It has to be equal. You know, this isn't for everybody. It really, really is. And a lot of people are just so much under the impression that, well, this is working for this person, so I can easily like do the same thing, right? Wrong. There's so much more to it than what you think, you know. I see the whole nostalgia about, well, all you gotta do is just sit on your ass and talk. That's all you gotta do. No, it's a lot more than just that. It's really a lot more. And if you need a crash course on that, let me know. I'll be happy to educate you. But make no mistake about it. At the end of the day, there's just no, my heart is not capable of taking down somebody's channel. I would rather spend the time and energy taking down a channel that, and I have, where somebody has uploaded my content on their channel. I mean, off and on over the years, I've had individuals that have taken, like, man, I'll never forget. It was like some Hungarian, some Ethiopian weird network that was on YouTube, and they had called themselves, going back, taking some of my most popular episodes of the RCWR show and Impact Showdown, and they uploaded it on their channel, thinking that maybe they were going to be able to get the same views and all that. And then they had the audacity to actually take my unveiling videos and put that on their channel as well. And when they were tagging it in the episode description, they were going like, yeah, hit that subscribe button, man, because, like, I need the money and support. And I'm going, what the? And long story short, I took that channel down because it's like, you know, when you see your content, when you see your creations that's being taken, all that time and energy that you put into that work, prepping and all that, and to see it be taken and put elsewhere, and most importantly, you did not sign off on that. Yeah, that's very infuriating. That's very frustrating, especially when you're also looking at YouTube. You know, for some of us, we do look at it as a business avenue. So to see your hard-earned work and you're not getting your just due, and it's being taken and it's being duplicated elsewhere, yeah, you ask any YouTuber, no, yeah, hell yeah, I'm gonna take that fucking channel down. I'm gonna do what I need to do by any means necessary. And so I would rather spend my time and energy on knuckleheads like that than on somebody that actually busts their ass, and, you know, it's basically a good working relationship and all that. Now, I actually did hear from Epic Sports. I heard from Epic Sports, I would say a day or two after last week's show. And anybody that does not believe me, I have the email because I always save my emails. You just never know. But Epic manned up. Epic Sports manned up and said, Lee, 100% my fault. I am so sorry. You are absolutely right. You know, I messed up, dude. I should have been replying to you. You know, I'm sorry. You know, I thought for sure by maybe making you a moderator that would kind of, but here's the thing. Epic never even sent me an email letting me know that they had made me a moderator. I sadly had stumbled upon this on my own, just late in the morning. I think it was after we got done doing the show for you guys, and I woke up in the middle of the night, had a hard time sleeping, and I just decided to hop on YouTube real quick, and I was doing something weird, and then that's how I found out I could actually moderate the comments on that channel. So yes, I'm now a moderator for Epic Sports apparently, but it's like I never received an email saying, "Hey, look, you know, you're." But no, Epic had manned up and they had apologized. They were like, "Totally right, all my fault," you know, and they were like, "Hey, if you want to continue, you know, if not, totally understand." And I gave Epic my permission. I said, "Look," I said, "Here's the thing: communication is key. You know, if you get a sponsorship deal and, you know, you're working with somebody, you know, they expect to hear from you in a timely manner. Otherwise, it's nothing personal. It's just business. They're going to take their business elsewhere. You know, that's how it is." So you know, I politely had told Epic, I say, "Look, you know, I would love to continue working with you. You're more than welcome to continue uploading my clips. However, if you feel we need to go in a different direction, balls in your court, buddy. Whatever you want to do is fine with me." But I also had made some small minor requests, some minor changes. One of the ones that stand out the most was just basically, hey, look, it doesn't make any sense that I do a show on Tuesday nights. I don't go off the air until about maybe close to midnight. And then by the time I get done editing and all that, Spreaker, iHeartRadio, and Spotify, they're the first outlets to get the show on the downloads and on demand. Usually the trickling effect, it doesn't happen for the other platforms until at least maybe about somewhere between 5 to 7 in the morning. So to wake up Wednesday morning and to see segments of my show, which hasn't even been out for 10 hours, 12 hours at least, already be, on that YouTube channel, I just don't think that's fair to trying to bring in the listens for the avenues that I mentioned before. It actually kind of takes away, it kind of hurts the listenership a bit as far as my analytics go, because at the end of the day, when I'm able to get the opportunity to work with sponsors and all that, they want to see what's going on with the analytics. So they need to be able to see, okay, this traffic is coming from this and this traffic is coming from that. Now, sometimes I can say, well, look, I have this affiliation with this network over here, and you can see the numbers over here, blah, 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 blah. But sadly, I don't have control over advertising on Epic. I only have control over advertising with my channel, with my show, and how I structure it on demand and on the downloads for you guys to listen to and all that. But I mean, not to bore you with all the logistics, but in a nutshell, Epic, we're cool. And I'm sure he don't mind me talking about this, because I mean, if I could come on the show last week and literally throw the poor guy under the bus, I should be able to come back here and say, hey, look, everything is smooth. You guys, that's like, oh, don't do that to Epic. Epic is totally fine. We are fine. What Epic does after this, the ball is honestly in their court, so nothing but letting the good times roll. That's all it's about right now. All right. So going back, a couple of things that jumped out in my mind from over the weekend. We had the Pro Football Hall of Fame. And me, big football fan, I had to check that out. Also, we had the Redskins. They're going to be playing this Thursday for you guys in the DMV. So you guys that's trying to see how that new quarterback does this Thursday, I believe the start time is 7:30 p.m. is when you'll be able to see the Redskins in action. But last Thursday, leading up to Hall of Fame weekend, we had a pro football Hall of Fame game that went down between the Baltimore Ravens and the Chicago Bears. And I got to say, I kind of liked what I had saw from RG3. Not the RG3 of old. Definitely not the RG3 of old, but I saw a little something. I saw shades of the man that we used to know that was a damn good quarterback his first year with Washington. But yeah, it was all right. What I am tripping over is apparently this NFL season, we're going to be having male cheerleaders. I don't know if you guys had heard about that, but like for the first time in NFL history, we're actually going to be having male cheerleaders. Hey, I mean, the women need something to look at too, right? I guess. I mean, I don't know. I like to know exactly why. I'm not crapping on it. Don't beat me up. I'm not crapping on it. I'm just curious what made such a decision like this come about. What's the origins of it? But no, we had this past weekend the Pro Football Hall of Fame. I loved all the speeches. All the speeches were good. But if you ask me which ones really stood out to me the most, I would definitely have to say, really, Randy Moss. I mean, Ray Lewis, that was pretty much what I had expected. I'm not sure how it was for you guys, but Ray Lewis, yeah, I expected him. And boy, that did not come off like somebody that was accepting the induction and talking to his peers and all that. I mean, the guy was barely behind the podium. He came out that bad boy like it was church. I mean, I was just picturing a hot Sunday morning in church, an all black church, and Ray Lewis just, yeah, oh, testify. I'm just picturing, I mean, Ray Lewis, my God, you would like to believe that maybe in another life, maybe he was a pastor or something. But I mean, Ray Lewis was exactly what I was expecting. There was nothing surprising there. However, Randy Moss, I would have to say, of all the speeches, Randy Moss's speech really had got to me. I really was taken back by how much of a man of faith, a man of spirituality that Randy Moss is. That really had took me by surprise. And I loved how he gave that nod to Bill Belichick. I was not expecting Randy to be so kind, have such kind things to say about Bill Belichick, for the simple fact Randy wasn't there in New England that long, and it's like he was as gone as quick as he had got there. But he really highlighted how Bill Belichick really pushed him, strived for him to do better, to be better. And apparently the two of them have been friends for many years. And what was really funny was that Belichick didn't even know that Randy Moss did not know that Bill Belichick and Robert Kraft were there in attendance, that they basically were backstage listening and everything that he was saying. So I thought that was kind of a nice surprise that had went down. Also, I love the fact that Randy Moss, I mean, come on, you had to have seen this. If you're into the sports, you had to at least heard about it if you didn't see it. But I love how on top of the yellow Hall of Fame jacket that Randy Moss had on, as all of them had on, but for Randy Moss in his particular case, I love the fact that he had that tie that was recognizing all of those individuals, those black individuals whose lives were taken away from unnecessary violence, if you will. You could almost even say gun violence that came at the hands of police officers. There's some type of a corruption, if you will, among some of those police officers in the way that basically they abuse their badge and treating people of color. There's just bad cops in general. I've always been saying that. And I know we've got, and I'm very consistent with this, and I have been for the past couple of years, we've got some people that feel as though Blue lives matter, white lives matter, black lives matter, all lives matter. Me, you ask me my philosophy, I say no. Self-accountability matters. That trumps all. Self-accountability matters. You take self-accountability for your actions. I take self-accountability for my actions, be it for better or worse. That's the name of the game. And I loved how Randy Moss, just that nice, good, subtle touch, and I love how he was pretty much wrapping up his speech, and it was really heavy stuff, and it just made me take a step back and go, damn, just imagine if we would have had this version of Randy Moss, personality and all. Just imagine if we would have had this Randy Moss playing back when he was playing. I mean, my God. Yeah, I didn't know he was capable of all that. I really didn't know. Of course, Terrell Owens, T.O., was not there because he decided he was going to do his thing a day before the Pro Football Hall of Fame. He was doing that bad boy in Chattanooga. And, I get no brainer. Yeah, there's going to be people mixed as far as T.O. doing his Hall of Fame ceremony away from the official Pro Football Hall of Fame ceremony, away from the guys. And look, once I heard what T.O. had to say as far as why he decided he wasn't going to do his Hall of Fame speech, he wasn't going to be there at the actual Hall of Fame, I understood. I didn't like it, but I understood. I understood him basically saying, hey, look, there are some people, some players, some people in administration that were against me. They stirred the pot a little bit, and they give me smiles, and then behind my back they stab me in the back. I get that. And that's why ultimately T.O. did what he did. You and I, we don't have to like it, we don't have to love it, but that's his right. However he wants to spend it, that's his right. And a lot of people were going, it's just T.O. being the usual prima donna that he. No, legitimately, I believe in my heart of hearts that T.O. did really feel that there were people that really stirred the pot and spun so many negative things about him, blew so many things out of proportion that it really hurt him. And I think this is honestly, you could tell how hurt he was when it's all said and done by the people that were saying what they were saying. And there's always two sides to a story. And then, as I always say, right down the middle, there's that silver lining known as the truth. But Terrell Owens, hey, he's in. At the end of the day, he is in. As somebody that at one point used to play sports, I played basketball all the way up until, I want to say, freshman year in high school. I played football all the way up until high school because sadly we did not have a high school football team. I loved being a running back. Quite honestly, I loved being a running back. Speaking of somebody that has played sports and having friends over the years that have dipped and dabbled into sports, or friends that have family members that are playing in the professional sports and all that. I mean, there is no bigger and higher honor in the world than in the sport of pro football, because there is only a select number of people that are able to go into this Pro Football Hall of Fame. And when you look back to the first Super Bowl, the first inductee, that's an elite class. And they only get together, but every so often, right? And to miss that opportunity to come on down there, go over the rehearsals, to be able to touch that jacket for the very first time, to be able to kick back and listen to what the other people are saying, those that basically were inducted the year before. Now they're no longer rookies. Now they're trying to pass on to you advice, because now you are in this elite club. You are in this elite position where, it is a certain fraternity. It is a certain brotherhood, and it's a certain family that you are a part of for the rest of your days. And for T.O. to miss taking part in all of those festivities, you just can't get that back. You just can't. But I would compare it no different to a wedding. You want that wedding to be oh so special. You want for everything to be perfect, especially if it's a situation where it's your very first wedding. You want for everything to be on point, because there are no, oh man, can we do that? No, that's it. And I know some people are like, nah, but you can renew your vows 5 years later, or you can go. No, man, that very first time, that's what matters the most. And for T.O., he's never going to have that opportunity again. Now, look, let's flip this a little bit, because there's another layer that's added to this. You've already got rumblings out there that it's very well possible that the sports reporters, those that are able to cast a vote on, hey, this person should go into the Hall of Fame. You have them, and you also have the Hall of Fame players themselves. All of them are now considering, hey, going forward, do you think it would make a lot of sense to implement some type of a rule where if you cannot actually physically be there, you're healthy and all, there's no emergencies, you can actually be there, but you decide you don't want to be there, should we actually explore some type of an option where, okay, well, we'll take you off the ballot and we'll just move on to the next person? I hope that they don't go in that direction, because look, I'm not a betting man, but if I were, I would say to you guys that I feel in my heart of hearts, for as long as the NFL has been in existence, I feel as though this is going to be a one-time deal in the entire history of the NFL, right? Long before we came along, our generation came along, right? It was basically our parents and grandparents, right? So, and football is going to be around long after we're gone. I honestly believe in my heart of hearts that this was a one-time isolated situation that's never going to happen again. I believe in my heart of hearts there is no need for the committee to get together and try to implement, because honestly, when you really stop and think about it, that's technically going to be a TO rule. Let's just call it for what it is. That would be looked upon as the TO rule, because it was basically inspired by the actions that TO had took on Hall of Fame weekend. So I think you don't have to go to those extremes. I really, really don't. I just think if anything, maybe a little bit more discreetly, a little bit more quietly, the people that is going to be considered going into the Hall of Fame, okay, do we really want these people to be going in? Does this individual truly deserve to have their name be on the ballot? Should they really be going in? Yeah, I just think they need to be a little bit more gun-ho. Look, hindsight's 2020. I'm sure that for a lot of those people, the sports reporters that had a vote and all that, I'm sure with hindsight being 2020, if they could go back in time and they could go, okay, you know what? If T.O. is going to be acting like that, man, bump it. Don't even want him in the Hall of Fame. Let's go get somebody else, put him in his place. Yeah, they probably would. But you know what? It is what it is now. So now you got to deal with it, right? I just hope that going forward, T.O. will get with the rest of the guys. So I'm really hoping that by next year's Super Bowl, you know, T.O. and them, they're going to pop up. I really, really hope so. I really hope next Super Bowl and you see all the greats of past. I really hope that we'll be able to see him with the rest of the guys, because now more than ever, we definitely need some serious unity. And that's the God's to honest truth. We need unity more than ever when it comes to sports in particular, especially with some of these black athletes. Great segue. So over the weekend, we had one freaking LeBron James. He did the interview with Don Lemon of CNN, talking about the new school that he had opened up for low at-risk kids, you know, those that are coming from projects. And let me first say that that is a beautiful thing that LeBron James was able to just make come together. I mean, you talk about having an idea, not just being all about talk, actually implementing the plan, all of that, putting in the financial resources, all of that. I think that is great what he did with that school opening up. I think that is truly, truly, I'm not kissing LeBron's ass, because when it's all said and done, you know, I'm from that era of Michael Jordan, you know, Larry Bird, Magic Johnson, you know, Dennis Rodman, you know, Kobe Bryant and all that. I'm from that school, right? But like, I tell you, for LeBron to cough up the financial resources to make this possible for low-income families. Okay, we're going to help the kids out, and we're also going to help you, the parents, out. You didn't finish school, you didn't finish high school. Well, we're going to give you the tools that's needed to go get your GED, and we're going to help you get a job so that you could provide better for yourself and your family. Very admirable. I love that. You know, here is a young black man. Let me be real here. Here is a young black man that grew up with nothing, with absolutely nothing, that had the same dreams, aspirations, and goals as you and me had when we were kids. And call it whatever, call it the heavens, right? The sky just opened up and heaven just said, LeBron James, boom, I'm going to touch you with a gift. You're going to have a talent for basketball, whatever the case may be. But he was blessed with the gift of basketball. And that pretty much has been able to take him out of the ghetto, being raised by a single mother. And man, do I relate to that cold-heartedly, because I myself for many years was raised by a single parent, my mother. God bless her. I had to learn a lot of things the hard way because I didn't have a male figure. I didn't have a dad in the picture. So sometimes my mom would have to do double duty. But then there were other times I just had to learn things on my own. So I relate to LeBron's origins very well. To see him come from nothing and be a multi-millionaire, builds this school, does this interview with CNN's Don Lemon. The talk of Trump is brought up, hey, would you sit down with Trump? Would you talk about some of these things that's going on in the country right now with the president? And LeBron is like, nope. If it was President Obama, yeah, sure. Trump, no, wouldn't give him the time or the day. And then you have LeBron giving his opinion saying, hey, look, I feel that with regards to President Trump, what he's doing right now with the shots that he's been taking at sports, honestly, he's been dividing us. And that's not what we need right now. I got LeBron's message. I got it clearly. And what does President Trump do? Of all the athletes that you can mess with, and please don't get it twisted, my Mount Rushmore of NBA basketball players of all time, despite everything that LeBron has done for me, LeBron still is not on that Mount Rushmore just yet. I've got to go Wilt Chamberlain, Magic Johnson, Michael Jordan, Clyde Drexler, Kobe Bryant, Shaquille O'Neal. In that order. That's now some people may say, well, damn, Lee, what about Boston or what about Spurs? Sorry, for me personally, to each its own. For me personally, those are the guys I'm looking at. LeBron's almost he's on the list of, well, can we put his face maybe right? He's on the list, like next to go up. He's almost there. But just for me, and see those names that I had mentioned, my list is going to be completely different from you guys. My list is like that because I was able to see a lot of those guys while they were playing courtesy of my dad, my uncle, and my grandpa. So sometimes it would be a situation where like there would be games on a VHS tape and it was like, oh man, you got to come over this weekend because I got the blah, 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 blah game or whatever like that. And so I was able, well, with the exception of, Wilt Chamberlain, because that's definitely a little bit out of my, age range there. But I still was able to see footage and tapes, hours of tapes on this guy. That's how I'm able to form the opinion that I'm able to form. Okay. I'm pretty sure I put Kobe on that list as well. Okay. But no, for me, Mount Rushmore aside, of all the athletes, of all the celebrities that President Trump could be taking on, you choose LeBron James. I couldn't believe he actually had said this. I got to read this tweet that he had put out here. Let me see if I got this straight. LeBron James was interviewed by the dumbest man on television, Don Lemon. He made LeBron look smart, which isn't easy to do. I like Mike. Okay, he's referencing MJ himself, Michael Jordan. And yeah, you got Michael Jordan who's going, whoa, 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 whoa. I don't need to be dragged into the mix like this. I don't need to be coming off as if I'm aligned with President Trump. Like, what the hell? So through his publicist, you get this corporate BS statement that basically says, I appreciate what LeBron James is doing for his community. I support LJ. Like, nobody calls LeBron James LJ. Nobody calls him LJ. They either call him LeBron or they say LeBron James or they say James. They don't call him LJ, right? All my years of watching LeBron James and post interviews, I've never heard anybody call him LJ. All right. So that just kind of came off very, whatever. But if there was an opportunity for an established pro athlete, a veteran pro athlete at that has done a lot for the business, to jump out there and say, whoa, 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 whoa. No, Mr. President. Hey, Michael Jordan, he carries so much weight, so much damn weight that it's not even funny. I mean, look, do I feel that the statement that Michael Jordan through his publicist had put out was enough? I really feel as though he should have done a lot more. But I get it, man. You don't want to rock the boat because Lord only knows how many Trump supporters are buying them Air Jordans. I'm not saying that all of a sudden 10 million people are going to decide I'm not going to buy Air Jordans anymore. Screw this, right? Because of the position that Michael Jordan, makes his position and he stands firm on it. But at the same time, it's like, okay, man, if there was ever a time to show some type of a backbone, not necessarily throwing the president under the bus, but more, if you ask me what I really was looking for from MJ, and this is speaking as somebody born and raised in Chicago, grew up on Michael Jordan. I remember when he first came to the Bulls, and I saw it all to the very end. To the very end. I really wish that MJ would have said, Mr. President, the words that you said about one LeBron James, I find to be very hurtful. Hurtful from the standpoint that here is a young man who you should be able to relate to, sir, because he pretty much had built his empire from the ground up. Contrary to how some people may feel about how you came into your fortunes, be it was passed down to you or not, you had to make your own strides. LeBron James was able to do and continues to do the same thing. Now more than ever, Mr. President, we need better dialogue between you and us Black athletes and all sports athletes from all across the board, and trying to work on better relations with regards to having better communities in low income neighborhoods. I really wish that MJ would have jumped out. Now look at that. There's nothing wrong with that. You're not chopping down the president in any type of way. You're not belittling him. You're not making fun of him, anything like that. And you could have wrapped it up by saying, I appreciate what this young, strong Black man is doing for his community right now because he's doing a lot of good. So bad, even Melania Trump had to kind of backpedal and try to clean up the mess that her husband had put out there, basically saying, hey, I would be more than willing to sit down with LeBron James and talk about ways we could try to, help families and help our children. And I'm going, leave it to Melania. Leave it to First Lady Trump to really, kudos to her. Kudos to her. But and poor Don Lemon. Don Lemon had to put out a statement shortly afterwards, basically saying, Mr. President, I've interviewed you many times. I met your family. Please, this rhetoric that you continue to put out there, it needs to stop. And it's a bad track record when you look at it, because every single time the president opens his mouth about some of these Black athletes or celebrities, it's always low intellect or they're dumb. I mean, take for example, when the national anthem went down with football, fire them, fire the sons of bitches, called all the football players sons of bitches. Okay, so send them, kick them out the country, right? So he spins that. Then he takes shots at Republican Maxine Walters, Democrat from California, calls her a person of low intellect, all that jazz. I mean, President Obama took his jabs at him, even questioning the president's birthright, all that crap. This is just some of the stuff that it adds up after a while. And, you almost forget that Ben Carson is part of the Trump administration. Just the way that he's chopped down some of these people that are of color, you forget that Ben Carson is part of the administration. You forget at one point Omarosa was part of the administration, and she's Black as well. It's just, if you ain't got nothing nice to say, don't say nothing at all. That's just the way I was raised. That's the way I had grew up. And, now more than ever, you got a whole bunch of people that are feeding off of the words of what the president has to say. and they're clinging on to it. It's basically, it's like a copycat, monkey see, monkey do. It's like, well, if the president can say this, if it's good for him and no ramifications is happening to him, well, I should be able to go out there and literally say the same damn thing. So I shouldn't be getting in trouble. Yeah. And it shouldn't work like that. We need more harmony. We need more unity now more than ever. And I don't know who his PR team is that's working with him, but I tell you what, if you're over here in the DMV, ooh, doggy, you got a lot to be concerned with, because we have a rally that's going to be going down this Sunday. I'm looking at the information here. It's going to be happening at Lafayette Park in Northwest Washington this Sunday between the hours of 5:30 p.m. to 7:30 p.m. Now, I'm seeing that it looks like the earliest there'll be a little bit of gathering coming about or whatever. It looks like around 3 o'clock in the afternoon, but the official rally itself is going to be going from 5:30 p.m. until 7:30 p.m. And this rally, this is a Unite the Right rally. This is a white supremacist rally that's going to be happening not too far from the White House. And it's expected that at least 200 to 300 people are going to be showing up at this event. I can't stress it enough. For those of you that live in the DMV this weekend, do whatever you got to do. Stay away from that area. I do not want to be hearing about any incidents that have occurred in a loss of life. I don't care if you're racist or what. I don't care what your nationality is. I don't care what your sexual orientation is. I just want you to be safe. Seriously, because I think about what had went down last year in Charlottesville, where that person had lost their life with this last rally. That should have been avoidable. And just thinking about some of the things that the president had said back then, right? And now you fast forward, you think about this rally that's going to be coming up. Listen to this. You've got one of the people that's going to be there is David Duke. And if you've been paying attention to your news, that should sound very familiar to you guys, because he is a former Grand Wizard for the KKK. He's going to be there. And remember, he tried to dip a little bit into the politics a while back. He tried to talk so much about how he was just like Trump and how he supported Trump and Trump this and Trump that. Really, really tried hard to align himself with the man. But WMATA, hey, look, one color they care about at the end of the day, dollar bill green. That's all they care about. It looks like they are going to be providing Metro bus and rail service for people that are trying to go to this event. So the way it's looking right now, the most busiest I'm seeing, it's going to be from the Vienna metro station, as a big bulk of the people that's going to be coming are going to be utilizing that Vienna metro station on the orange blue line, and they're going to be riding that bad boy out to Foggy Bottom. So they're going to be right there in the heart of Georgetown. So if you can avoid being out there this weekend, please avoid. But if you find yourself going to be around that area, please use a lot of caution and just really be careful. That's all I have to say. Really, really be careful. I really hope, I'm not going to be here next Tuesday talking about lives being lost, right? If we can avoid that, that would be badass. It really would. But, I would like to think that whoever is the PR team for the president, you've got this coming up. If there was ever a time for the president to say, hey, look, I don't want a repeat of last year, people. Let's do peaceful protests. It's okay to have disagreements, have a meeting of the minds, but let's make sure that everything ends on a peaceful tip. But we know that's not going to happen. Speaking of peaceful, we were talking about All In earlier and everything. By the way, if you're enjoying the show so far, smash the like. Really appreciate that. We're talking about All In earlier. It's going to be in Chicago and everything. The title for this episode, it serves right, because I'm a big U2 fan. Big U2 fan. One of my favorite songs from back in the day Bullet the Blue Sky. Perfect title for this episode. And I got to talk about Chicago a little bit because I've just been disgusted with what I've been seeing and hearing about my home turf over the years. And to hear about the latest statistics that came about from Chicago. I mean, I'm not really sure how many of you guys had heard about this. And shout out to all the media outlets that have been covering this. I just hope that something really positive comes from this. But so far, Chicago has had the most deadliest summer with 75 people. Get this. You can't make this shit up. 75 people shot in just one weekend. Just one weekend. So basically, between Friday to this Monday morning, this past Monday morning, which would have been Monday, August 6th, the police department had reported a staggering 75 people were shot across the city, predominantly in the south and the west sides of Chicago, with 12 fatalities. Just marinate on that. Just marinate on that for a little bit. That's more than half of the victims that were attacked on Sunday morning, the final day of Lollapalooza, with 41 people being hit with bullets in a mere 7 hours. Is that the most what the hell thing you've heard or what? Right? So far, this city has already topped 300 homicides, 1,700 plus gunshot victims overall. And the numbers, somehow, believe it or not, they're still a little bit lower around this time compared to, say, 2016. Somebody from Illinois, somebody from Chicago, explain this to me. How in the blue hell is Rahm Emanuel still the mayor of Chicago? How is this even possible? I mean, is he under the Al Capone hush money or something? Like what dirt does he have on people that seriously? This is bad on so many levels. And you know, I know there were a lot of people that had crapped on the idea that President Trump had put out there with regards to you know, a lot of people were crapping on President Trump for the idea of, like, hey, you know what? Maybe with regards to Chicago, we need martial law. Maybe martial law needs to be established out there. Maybe that's the way we need to get Chicago back up in shape. And you had so many people say, no, you know, we're going back to uncivilized times. We don't need to go to the. Well, what else? What else can we do, folks? I ask you, what else can we do? It seems as though we're running out of options here. That is not cool to hear of that many people that are losing their lives. You know what that says to me? That says to me that the mayor is not winning. That says to me that whoever his police chief is not doing the job. It sounds to me like there needs to be a clean sweep. I remember during the time I lived in Chicago, and you know what? I haven't even, you guys would have to educate me from Chicago, from Illinois. You guys would have to educate me better. But I still believe in my heart of hearts, just based on everything I've been keeping tabs on out there over the years, Harold Washington was and is still the best mayor that Chicago ever had. Because we didn't have all of this crazy crap that was going down. And I'm just amazed that, I mean, look, we got 2019 right around the corner. Rahm Emanuel, he's trying to win a re-election campaign. Yeah, we'll see about that. We'll see how that works. I don't think he's going to win. I would be shocked if he wins. If there was ever a time for change, and I actually agree with what Rudy Giuliani said, that this guy, he needs to be show him the door. Let's never see this dude again. Seriously. And before anybody wants to get all political and be like, oh, he's just saying that because he's trying to get another Republican. And no, not by a long shot. There's actually a Democrat that he wants to see, that he thinks would be a really good successor to Rahm Emanuel, who is a good, strong conservative, but leans Democrat, but that he feels, will get enough bipartisan to be able to, win and become mayor. And he feels that he would do a much better job than Rahm Emanuel. Maybe they can get Kathy Lanier back. I know Kathy Lanier, she did a great job for us in DC. She went on to provide security coverage for the NFL. She's like the head honcho of security for the NFL now. But when we had Kathy Lanier out here, she did a fantastic job. She really, really did. There's another chief that I'm thinking of. Ramsey? I want to say maybe the last name was Ramsey. I'm not really sure, but he did a good job as well. That's the thing. I'm not sure if the last name was Ramsey, but he did a good job as well. I want to say eventually he went maybe Jersey or Philly. Kind of felt like he went somewhere in that direction. But they need somebody that can definitely go out there and get results. That's just damn sad. And I'm telling you, if you are a pro wrestling fan that's going to be making your way to the Chicago area for the All In event, you can't help but be seeing and hearing this and going, okay, is my family going to be okay? Are we going to be all right going to Chicago? Because this many people keep getting, hurt and these lives keep getting lost. What exactly is going to be happening here? It's really, really, it's disturbing, and I'm tired of hearing about thoughts and prayers. Now more than ever, we need some goddamn resolution, right? So I'm really hoping that this is going to cause enough of an uproar. I wonder if there is such a thing as an emergency council meeting or something where, maybe this mayor can be voted out, if that could even happen, because there's no excuse for that. There's just no excuse for that many lives. There's just no excuse. It's sad. And it's unprofessional. As far as I'm concerned, to hear stats like that, you're not doing right by the people that had put you there in office. And I tell you what, Harold Washington was kind of equivalent to DC's Marion Barry. I mean, he truly was for the people. I mean, seriously, what's it going to take? Are we going to have a situation like 1996's The Original Gangsters that was directed by Larry Cohen? Or are we maybe going to have to go in that direction? One of my all-time favorite films that had Fred Williamson, Jim Brown, Pam Grier, Richard Roundtree. You had the guy from the Jamie Foxx show, Courtney B. Duncan. Great freaking movie. And it actually took place. I'm trying to remember. I want to say it took place in Gary, Indiana. But you swore it was Chicago. The way they was acting like there, but no, it took place in the urban low-income areas of Gary, Indiana. And basically, the story in a nutshell, Fred Williamson's character, Fred Williamson, you should know him. Larry Cohen, you should know as well. Fred Williamson from 1973's Black Caesar. That would be followed up months later with 1973's Hell in Harlem. And Larry Cohen had directed for Fred Williamson in both of those movies. But like the story for it, if I remember it right, for The Original Gangsters, Fred Williamson hears about his dad that got beat up and that got shot by some gangsters. And the reason why his dad had got shot and beat up was because he had reported some guys that he was pretty sure had killed a good local neighborhood kid. Did no wrong, kept his nose out of trouble. He basically was playing basketball with this gang, and when he played them, he tried to act as if, oh, you know, I just kind of play a little of this on the side or whatever. But they realized that, no, this dude is a pro. We need to retaliate. So they ended up killing him. And the cops that came, the kid got killed. If I remember, he got killed like in front of a payphone booth that was in front of a little Quickie Mart store that Fred Williamson's dad. The dad was portrayed by Grady from Sanford and Son. So yeah, the kid gets light up, he gets killed. The cops, they go talk to Grady, and Grady's like, well, I'm pretty sure it was blah, 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 blah. Word gets back to the gang that grandpa snitched. They do a number on him. That makes Fred Williamson come back home. He's this big celebrity or whatever. And long story short, he decides, okay, you know what? Yeah, I used to be in a gang, and when we were running this city, you know, we protected our own. We eliminated the drugs, the prostitution, the violence, the guns. We had all that on lockdown. What the hell has become of Gary, Indiana? And so eventually he hooks up with Pro Football Hall of Famer Jim Brown, Pam Grier, Richard Roundtree, and, you know, they basically reform the gang, if you will, and they're bringing the fight to my man Christopher B. Duncan and his crew. And Christopher B. Duncan, for those of you that remember the Jamie Foxx show, remember the light-skinned dude that was, oh, hey, Jamie, that's Christopher B. Duncan. It's so funny, too, because when you see him in this movie, he was a stone-cold gangster killer. Had a little bit of punk bitch in him, but he was a stone-cold killer. His name was Spyro. And man, I'm not going to spoil the rest for you guys, but that was a great movie. But yeah, like seriously, is that what's going to have to happen with Chicago? Are we going to have to see some original gangsters get together and try to help clean up Chicago? I mean, at this point, it sounds like that's probably what's going to have to happen. Or maybe, or maybe you're going to have to maybe get a hold of the Avengers. You know, I don't know. Who knows? And Tommy, you might have seen the title of the episode. My friend, you are late. Best part, since you're live on YouTube, you can actually hit the rewind button a little bit. Just look at the scroller on the video and you'll see why the video is titled that way, for very good reason, in case you maybe had missed up on the headlines. Welcome, though, for those of you that are just now tuning in. Lee Sanders here, checking out the RCWR Show, episode number 607 for August 7, 2018. So that's really just been some of the stuff that I kind of noticed this week that really just kind of left me scratching my head a little bit. Take your pick. A lot of weird stuff that's going on there, but none the more crazier than what's been going on in Chicago. And again, All In, you guys, let's go into All In. You all really need to make sure that you know what parts you're going to be hanging out in that Chicago area, man. Seriously, I would be getting the itinerary down like a mother. Try not to use the trains. Try not to use the buses. If you can get around in a personal vehicle, be it your own or a vehicle that you rent, so be it. Freaking do it. Make it so. Talk a little bit wrestling. This ain't the Raw and Smackdown recap. I do only want to talk about just a couple of things that kind of jumped out at me this week from both respected shows, and we'll definitely sprinkle in some wrestling topics and some other stuff. So Raw this week, the aftermath of what went down with Paul Heyman and Brock Lesnar. I tell you, I love that segment with Paul Heyman and Renee Young. We saw so much range of emotion from Paul Heyman. I know a lot of people were really taken back by how emotional he was during that segment. The way his, the way his eyes were just all watered up, and you'd have swore he found out his mom had died or whatever. And you're going, how was he able to? Look, the best of the best are able to do that. They really are. You have some gifted actors that are able to just think of a certain scenario, like the saddest moment of their life, the saddest, most depressing, heartbreaking moment of their life. They can recall that memory, they can recall that emotion that they have felt. And once they're able to tap into that, they can bring out the floodgates, all that, all that. And then you have those that can bring out that emotion. You just aren't seeing it in the tears. And in that case, usually they take a couple of eye drops or take a little something, go buy a onion or whatever, and that pretty much will help them out. Or maybe they put something allergic around their eyes, and that's how they're able to do it. But I tell you what, I was really taken back by the interview segment between Paul Heyman and Renee Young. I thought Paul did a fantastic job. I mean, one, it sold the match even more between Roman Reigns and Brock Lesnar coming up at SummerSlam in less than 2 weeks. But then you're also going, well, what exactly is going to be the Paul Heyman factor? Is Paul Heyman even going to be a factor at all in this SummerSlam matchup? And I thought it was very interesting that we pretty much fast forward into the next day, and apparently a exclusive WWE.com piece that had aired. You guys got to bear with me a second here. I think I might have too many windows open. Let me just check something out here. I might be seeing a little bit of lag right now. Let me see. What's going on with the stream here? Hang on a second, guys, because I see a little something. Okay, we're back. Okay, I was getting a little bit concerned there, man, because I'm like, what's going on with the stream there, man? What's going on with the stream? Shout out to Mish. No, Mish, I don't kiss and tell. Unless I'm off the air, then I kiss and tell. Then I kiss and tell. I lost my train of thought there. You guys got to forgive me because I'm like keeping track of the chat rooms on all the platforms. And I'm also keeping track of the stream on YouTube. And I saw some serious lag that went down just now that kind of had me go, what the hell's going on? But the stream is actually okay. So no, my train of thought coming back. So we saw what aired on Raw with Renee Young, Paul Heyman, right? But if you noticed from WWE on social media earlier today, they put up a unaired, unedited version of Paul Heyman's interview with Renee, and they only basically went with the last minute, 38 seconds of it. And I mean, it should be a no-brainer because I would like to believe that a lot of us were kind of going, what type of a factor is Heyman going to play in Roman versus Brock? Will Heyman turn on Brock? And the way that they aired the unedited version, they pick it up where Renee says to Heyman, what's your pick for SummerSlam? You going with Roman or you going with Brock? And blah, 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 blah. You basically had Paul Heyman saying Brock Lesnar, unless, and then he takes his microphone off and like, I'm done, Renee. And Renee's like, no, unless what? You were about to say something, Paul. What do you mean? Unless what? Unless what? And I like how that basically was teased. So, I mean, this should be a no-brainer. How much of a factor is Paul Heyman going to be? I must tell you, I am loving the idea more and more and more of Hell Have No Fury like a Paul Heyman scorned. Because there is nothing I would love to see more than Paul Heyman extracting some type of revenge on Brock Lesnar for turning his back on him. And one of the ways I think that should come about, just feel me for a second. Everybody's going with, no. Paul Heyman's going to go with Braun Strowman. Some people are under the impression that maybe Paul is going to side with Roman. I'm just not seeing that happen at this point. I know that would be a nice alliance, Heyman, Roman. I would love that. I'm not buying that. I had to really take a couple of weeks and really think about that one, and I'm not sold on that one. There's only two that I'm sold on right now, and the latter one I'm more sold on. I am sold on Heyman siding with Braun, or, and this is my wild card, if I was booking this, I would actually have Paul Heyman manage the AOP. These two are young, they're up and coming, and let's be for real, all right? They need it right now. Let me see if I got this straight. And look, all praise and glory to Ronda Rousey. I thought she had a great Raw main event debut against Alicia Fox. Honestly, I thought that match played out exactly the way I expected it to play out. I was not expecting for Alicia Fox to be able to go in there and just be so one-handed and just, with Ronda. I was expecting there to be a little bit of fuckery involved or whatever. I was definitely expecting that. And the match played out exactly the way I expected. It wasn't no long, drawn-out match that was going to be 20 minutes long. No, that played out exactly the way it played out. And honestly, I like the way that WWE has been slowly but surely working with Ronda. Ronda has just really been making leaps and bounds of significant improvement, right? Even to the point she's still a little bit uncomfortable when she's cutting promos, but she's even showing me at least that she's getting better, right? And Lord only knows how much better she can get. I mean, if it's not even 6 months yet that we've been dealing with Ronda on the main roster, and just to see how quick she's been able to adapt, you're going, well, man, how's she going to be 6 months from August, right? If she's excelling this well. So all the praise and glory, that definitely needs to go to her. But AOP, everything that worked with AOP and NXT. And do you notice the sad trend that's going on here, with the exception of a few people from NXT that got the call up to the main roster? It's so frustrating to see some of these NXT call-ups flat on their face is where they land once they're on the main roster. It's very infuriating. AOP, I mean, I know we don't have a lot of people that check out NXT, and they're probably going, AOP, I don't see what the big deal is. AOP was a significant fucking big deal in NXT. Left and right destroying tag teams. Paul Ellering was their mouthpiece, and man, it was about something. I mean, Paul Ellering was doing a fantastic job masking their ultimate weakness, which was they couldn't cut promos worth a damn. And I'm like this, do I believe in the whole, hey, you got to learn at some point. You got to go out there and you got to hang with them. You either got to hang or cut bait. I get that. I really do. But you know what? I would rather send somebody out into a key position knowing that not only have they been given all of the fundamentals that they need to succeed, but they've also been given the proper training, and they have shown that they are getting it, that they are adapting. The promos for AOP on the main roster right now, the drizzles, right? Let's really be real. Aside from the promos, when you finally do have AOP on the main roster, sporadically they're there. Whether it's a case of, well, this person got injured, or creative has nothing for you, or whatever you want to call it, it's been kind of hard for AOP to pick up the type of attention, the type of buzz that they had down at NXT, and have it translate over to the main roster. It's almost like, okay, all these good things that worked for you in NXT, we're going to take all of that away, and you're pretty much just going to have to start from scratch. Paul Ellering was your mouthpiece. Okay, he's gone. Oh, you guys used to come out with the Casey Jones Army of Two video game hockey mask and all that. We're going to take that away from you as well. You guys didn't talk. We're going to make you talk. You guys used to fight pretty damn good reputable tag teams and have some pretty good tag team matches. We're going to put you with some bullshit tag teams. And that brings me to another point. God bless Titus O'Neil and freaking who's the other guy? Apollo Crews. God bless those guys. Look, at the end of the day, yeah, whatever they need to go do, whatever they're instructed to do, they're going to go do it. They got a job to do. Team players. I get that. God bless them. But WWE bookers, WWE writers, what the hell, man? You keep feeding AOP to a team that, quite honestly, nobody gives a flying you know what about. And look, not to be a cold hard asshole. I was thinking actually Jack cold hard bitch, but look, not to be an asshole, but can I be 100? That's great, Titus O'Neil, that you do all of these great things for charity and all the PR work, read it programs and all that. That's fantastic. That it really, really is. I'm not being sarcastic. That's fantastic. That's outside the ring. When I turn my TV on, I care about what's going on in that ring. And I'm sorry, Apollo Crews, Titus O'Neil, kiss of death for AOP. I hope after what we had saw this past Monday, that's it. But I have a feeling that, and I hope I'm wrong, but it just feels in my bones that we're probably going to be getting AOP taking on Titus O'Neil and Apollo Crews pre-show match SummerSlam. And I really hope that's not the case, because I want better for AOP. AOP deserves better. So for me personally, you talk about a smoking ace. Here is a young team that's up and coming. They could benefit so well from Paul Heyman, the services of Paul Heyman. All right. They can learn how to be overall better performers, talk better on the mic. They could learn a little bit. They could learn a little bit better ring psychology thanks to Paul Heyman. You can't go wrong. I would love to see a scenario come about where Paul Heyman has the ultimate revenge on Brock Lesnar by having the AOP take him out. And maybe you could have Roman Reigns become champion that way, or I don't care how you do it, but somehow, as far as Paul Heyman getting the ultimate revenge, I would just love to see him align himself with the AOP. Instant relevance all over again, quite honestly. And I agree with DJ Subia in the chat, who says Apollo deserves better. Yeah, he deserves better. He deserves better. He does. He deserves better from the standpoint of he deserves a pink slip. I love Apollo Crews. I love the guy's work when he was in ROH and he was tearing it up on the independents. That guy was working very well. But what's been happening with him in the WWE, I have not been impressed. Do you maybe try to shoot him over to 205 Live? I mean, can he even get away with 205? I mean, he looks like he weighs about maybe 250. And that's a good, healthy, muscular 250. Can he maybe get away with that? I don't know. You know, I hate the fact that it's 205. I wish it was just, you know, just let it be cruiserweight. Because honestly, I would like to see Apollo help out in the cruiserweight division. I think he's poorly being misutilized, and I think he would do a lot better as a cruiserweight champion. I think he would do a lot better in the cruiserweight division, as opposed to continuing to be aligned with Titus O'Neil. It just comes off like, oh, well, we got these two black guys. We're not really sure what to do with him. Nobody knows the trouble I've seen. Zippity-doo-dah, zippity-day. Wonderful feeling this way. Old Man River. Don't even give me. But no, seriously. When I look sometimes, I just go, man, these guys are just the goddamn whipping boys, man. They just, let's shake it up. Let's do something like the Cars song. Shake it up. Let's do something better with these guys, man. Seriously, it's very nerve-wracking. I got a question for you guys. The instrumental that Elias had played, that was actually one of my favorite highlights of the entire night from Raw, by the way. Elias playing that acoustic instrumental that he did. Was that an original arrangement, or was he borrowing that from a popular song? Because I remember a while back, once in a blue moon, Elias has done a little. I remember he did Alice in Chains Nutshell from their Jar of Flies EP. I was like, oh, that was great. But man, the flow from that instrumental he did on Monday, I loved. I was eating that up. I just wanted to hear him just for 10 more minutes, just letting that guitar string just go, man. I was loving that. Uh if you're a Bobby Lashley fan, you can't help but feel a little bit excited for Bobby, because the crowd, at least in Florida, kind of came around to him, and you couldn't have booked that better. Have Elias take a massive crap on the Florida crowd, and they booed the damn guy out of the building. You cue up Bobby Lashley, Bobby, and Bobby actually gets a warm reception from the crowd. This was nice. My only thing is that worked in Florida. What's going to happen in the next city? Will the next city be as receptive? How will that Brooklyn crowd be for SummerSlam? How's that crowd going to be for Bobby? Will it be just like in Florida, or is it going to be different? The verdict is still out on that, but curious minds want to know. I just wish that Bobby would just get a little bit more angrier sometimes, man. I just want to see him get a little bit more, just every time I turn around, he's just always, he's just too damn, God damn it, Bobby. I like you, man. He just comes off too likable sometimes. I don't know if maybe a scruffy beard might be able to help him out or what, but I think honestly, when it's all said and done, that's that military upbringing of his that we're picking up. The whole yes, sir, no, ma'am, yes, ma'am. Don't use any bad language, at least not in public. I mean, Bobby Lashley just comes off like one of those. God, it just now dawned on me. Bobby Lashley is the black version of Chris Evans, Captain America. That's honestly how he comes off. He is just that goddamn babyface good. But if you really kind of stop and think about it, that's almost who he kind of reminds you of a little bit, right? But it should be a good feud between these two guys. It really should. I'm actually happy that both of these guys are going to be doing something on SummerSlam. I was actually thinking about it earlier tonight, and I really didn't see that many people talking about it online. Does anybody else find it interesting that John Cena isn't going to be doing anything at SummerSlam, or at least so it appears? If ever a time you want to have a lot of eyes on your product, this is one of the big 4 pay-per-view spectacular events out of the year in SummerSlam. You want to get a stacked card. You want to sell those pay-per-views. You want to sell those network subscriptions. You want to get those tickets at the gate. You want to get people for WrestleMania access and all that. Not WrestleMania access, SummerSlam access. If there was ever a time, you would think, I'm just literally saying, where's John Cena? Can we do something with John Cena? I never thought I'd say this, but I actually kind of miss John Cena. I can't believe I'm actually saying that, but I found myself earlier today saying, damn, I actually miss John Cena. And it's really sad that it's kind of getting to that point now where, despite how good he looks physically, and yeah, he might be up there in age, getting kind of up there in age, but he can still throw it down with the best of them. And I really hope that maybe he's just going to be a unannounced special attraction for SummerSlam, because I would literally be in shock if I were to be here for the SummerSlam after show and there was no John Cena cameo whatsoever. I don't care if he's working on a movie or what. Just to see John Cena for a couple of minutes at SummerSlam, I would be totally fine with that, right? Wrestling or not, I'd be fine. Just the fact that he made some type of a cameo, but just something I kind of thought about earlier today. I said, wow, no John Cena. Smackdown, not really too much you can sink your teeth into. Honestly, for me, the star of the week, I'm going to try to do this regularly as far as what was impressing me from the past week on. My star of the week, as far as pro wrestling goes, Kofi Kingston. Kofi Kingston with his Kramer King persona. I bust a hearty ass laugh. I was in tears seeing Kofi Kingston. I'm going, just when you think you've seen all you could see from Kofi Kingston surprises the hell out of you with, like, Kofi, I didn't even know you were capable of that, brother. And if you guys did not watch SmackDown tonight, you got to do yourselves a favor. Go see if maybe you could catch the replay on Hulu, NBC Universal over the weekend, or watch the YouTube channel for WWE Fan Nation. You got to watch Kofi Kingston. He's with New Day. They're backstage. They're getting ready to talk with Renee Young. And Kofi grabs the microphone. He's like, Renee, respect now. We got respect for you, but we got this. You know, after what we've been doing with the commentating for the past couple of weeks, we got this. And we see Kofi Kingston. He puts on this blonde wig, and you're going, okay, whatever. But then he does this voice, and he just goes into character. And I was just in tears. It was just that goddamn funny, and I loved it. And I'm going, oh my God, do this every week. Please do this I don't think you could ever get bored out with this. I don't think you could burn out with Kofi doing this weekly. It just added a whole new layer. It refreshed him even more. I loved it. I love it. Kramer King here. Yo, Biggie, tell me, what are you going to do in your main event match tonight? Your tag team match against Sheamus and Cesaro. I just loved how he did that. That was just so freaking, I don't know what the hell he was watching to make that possible. But Kofi, you're my star of the week, man. I'm telling you, we're going to do that. That's a new feature from here on out. He just surprises me. All the years that he's been in WWE, and just when you think, Kofi's, he's at the ceiling, he's already touching it, you can't really go any further, you know, then the freaking New Day comes along, and that just breathes new life into him. And, you know, just when you're kind of looking at Kofi again, and you're going, you're kind of getting a little bit stale, boom, out of nowhere, he just hits you with something new, and I love that. Goddamn. God bless that Kofi Kingston, man. God bless that Kofi Kingston. See, other than that, AJ Styles had addressed Samoa Joe. It was a good segment. Not really too much I can, you know, it was basically AJ Styles' rebuttal to Samoa Joe, saying, you know, hey, AJ, yeah, you can talk about your daughter and your family all you want. You're not really on the road to be seeing them. I mean, no, sorry. You're not actually at home enough to see them because you're constantly on the road. I really was just whatever. I see they're continuing to stir the pot with Rusev, Lana, Aiden English. Is it safe to say SummerSlam? Or is it maybe going to happen at the next pay-per-view? You're kind of curious if they're going to go ahead and pull the trigger. Have to wait and see about that one. But I don't think we're really missing anything else that was from SmackDown this week. We saw Zelina Vega take on Lana. Once again, that was actually a pretty good matchup. You know, if I'm missing something pretty critical, like somebody was named #1 contender or something, let me know. Miz announced earlier today he would accept Daniel Bryan's proposal or whatever. So those two will be fighting each other at SummerSlam. That was a pretty good segment that Daniel Bryan and Miz had. As it turns out, Daniel Bryan actually went to the studio where Miz was, as he was doing some more production stuff for Miz and Mrs., and he pretty much jumped on him, beat the holy crap out of him. Now, you know, you kind of can't help but wonder that, since technically Miz was not on official WWE time, if storyline wise, Miz could maybe press some type of charges on Daniel Bryan just to kind of throw a little bit of a monkey wrench into things. That way, Miz does not see Daniel Bryan until SummerSlam. You know, you just can't help but kind of wonder how that might kind of pan out or whatever, but not really too much had happened. Main event match, it was New Day taking on Sheamus and Cesaro. It was a good tag team matchup. New Day actually had won that one, but really nothing else unless I'm missing something. I really think that's it. Let's go ahead. Let's talk about some headlines here. I couldn't wait to get into some of this stuff. Dave Batista, come on now. If you guys been checking out the show for a long time, you know how much mad respect I have for Dave Batista. For crying out loud, man. I saw the guy at this year's Awesome Con. Chatted with him for several minutes. We were talking about MMA, boxing, and all kinds of cool stuff. Cool fucking dude. I mean, he will talk to you all day if he could have it his way. If he could just have it his way and he could just shoot the shit with you, no lines he had to worry about, he would do it. I'm sure. Cool fucking dude. I've always, over the years, have had a lot of respect for Batista because he is outspoken. He does not give a fuck. He says his piece, and whether or not you agree with him or whatever, that's for you. But if there was anybody I have high regard for, and I look at their opinion, I value their opinion, that will make me take a step back at some things that maybe I say and go, well, you know what? I really didn't think about it from this standpoint. You know, I was consistent in this area, but this is almost kind of similar to Batista is one of those people that will rarely have me kind of change my mind on something or maybe look at things from a different perspective. So what I'm talking about, in case you missed it, Dave Batista, he revealed in a recent interview that it's very well possible he will request from Marvel that they release him from his contract if in any shape or form they deviate from James Gunn's vision of a script for the next Guardians of the Galaxy movie. And he had spoke with Shortlist, and he said, and I quote, "Nobody's defending his tweets," James Gunn that is, "but this was a mere smear campaign on a good man. I spoke with Chris Pratt the day after it happened, and he's a bit of a religious. He's a bit religious. I was about to say he's a bit of a religious freak. No, he's a bit religious. So he wants time to pray and figure it out. But I was more like, fuck this. This is bullshit. James is one of the kindest, most decent people I've met. Where I'm at right now is that if Marvel don't use the script, then I'm going to ask them to release me from my contract, cut me, or recast me. I'd be doing James a disservice if I didn't." And you know what, man? That was, for me, that was really heavy to read because I'm going, goddamn, Dave Batista, just when I think I've heard all there is I need to hear from you and just how outspoken, how much you've impressed me over the years, you just keep up in the ante, and here you go this go round. Wow. I respect Dave Batista siding with James Gunn because when it's all said and done, James Gunn took a look at Dave Batista and say, you know what? You're more than just a pro wrestler. You're more than just a guy that's going to have these small henchman roles. You know, you could be a bona fide star. And James Gunn was right, because some could make the argument that because of James Gunn really bringing in and properly introducing Dave Batista to the masses, all of these Hollywood opportunities that have opened up for Big Dave just wouldn't have been possible. So you know what? If anybody knows a thing or two about loyalty to a fault, I'm there. I'm so there with Dave, because I am the type of person with an employer. I am loyal to no end. Even when the chips are down, budget is a little bit tight, I am loyal all the way through and through. If I have your friendship, I'm loyal. Even if you piss me off, you get on my damn nerves, and I don't want to talk to you for a couple of weeks or a couple of months. I mean, unless you go kill somebody or you're a child molester or whatever, 9 times out of 10, you're going to have my loyalty as a friend. So I totally find that a very strong and admirable trait that is in Dave Batista, that he wants to stay loyal to James Gunn. While so many others would be like, yo, man, take the money, take the opportunities and run, because the way you're putting yourself out here like this, man, you're risking being blacklisted in Hollywood. Do you really want to jump out there like that? Come on now. Like, be smarter about this. And for Dave Batista to really jump out there like that, it really had me take a step back. Very rare do I come on this show and I say, you know what? Change of heart. But I had to do some soul searching. I mean, I couldn't help but compare this to a celebrity, another celebrity who I love, have a lot of respect for. I remember him from his days on G4 TV, Chris Hardwick. And you had that woman, I'm not going to even mention her name because she doesn't even deserve the press, but she puts out these statements talking about how she was in a abusive relationship with this man, and cell phone records show that this woman was begging, baby, 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 give me one more chance. I mean, she was begging. That's because she realized, oh my God, the money, it's walking away. Money, come back, money, come back here, money. I need you. Don't go away. I love you so much. Not you. I love your money. Please come back. Please, please, please. Baby, I love you so. I mean, that's literally what she was doing. But, it was a really bad, what the fuck is going on? And you had AMC, they go up, Chris Hardwick, him hosting the Talking Dead and Talking Bad shows, all them other fear shows, or whatever fucking shows on AMC. Yeah, he's, and then you had NBC. Oh, well, this is touch and go. We're kind of lost his place at Comic-Con, doing the moderating and all that. But then you kind of take a step back and you're like, wait a minute, man. This is somebody I've been watching for many, many years. A lot of people have said nothing but good things about him. Family is jumping out there defending this man. Ex-girlfriends are jumping out there defending this man. And you're going, something doesn't sound right. Okay, where's the proof? Where's some type of evidence? Like what's going on? And the people that were making these accusations, they were very checkered as hell. So you're going, well, wait a minute, man. What happened to innocent until proven guilty? So just how I felt about that, I also had to kind of relay that same mentality to this James Gunn situation. Yes, were the jokes tasteless? Yes. But you know what, man? I got to relate to this because Lord knows I've had my fair share of making poor, tasteless jokes that actually had offended some listeners. I'll never forget. And I still chuckle about it to this very day. I remember back when I used to come on after Monday Night Raw would go off the air, there would be this young teenage couple. It would be a boyfriend, girlfriend. And the boyfriend did something, I can't remember what it was, but it basically had got him blocked from commenting for like 2 months or whatever. But only on YouTube. He could comment everywhere else. He just couldn't comment on YouTube. So the girlfriend would come in and she would always kick it off, and longtime listeners will remember this. She would always go, well, me and my boyfriend, and it's like, okay, you and your boyfriend, it's like always you and your boyfriend, right? It's like, God damn, you guys must be Siamese twins or whatever. But I remember they had got offended because you guys remember that infamous episode of Impact Wrestling where James Storm was stalking Mickie James? And even though she was now married to Magnus, like, James Storm didn't care. He was trying very hard. And I remember there was one episode where the two of them were walking on a train station platform or whatever, and he basically like bumped her off of it. And everybody for like the next 24 hours. Oh my God, is Mickie James okay? Is she all right? What the hell? You know, oh man, that asshole James Storm, what the hell? And it caught so much on fire. Like, people actually believe that Mickie James actually had got hurt, or maybe she got killed or whatever. And Mickie James actually had to put out a statement saying, no, guys, I'm actually okay. Believe it or not, I'm actually fine. What you had saw that went down, you know, it was just staged. You know, I'm okay. I'm not sure what's next with this story arc, but, you know, we appreciate you guys' patience, and Lord knows I really appreciate you guys being truly concerned. But no, I'm okay. It was just part of the story. And I remember I had used that. It was like maybe 5 seconds of that. I used it in a tweet, and I basically had said, when you find out your mother-in-law is coming and you can't stand her, and, you know, and I post, how dare you? That is so disgusting. That is very wrong. What's wrong with you? Have you no heart? You're sick. And I'm going, dude, you're talking to somebody that fucking grew up on George Carlin, Bill Hicks, freaking Richard Pryor, Eddie Murphy, Paul Mooney, like Red Fox. Like, I have crude black sense of humor at times, and like, what the hell? It's like, sorry if you can't hang, like, but I'm not gonna change who I am just to fucking please you. Like, you don't like it, tough shit. Sorry to lose you as a listener, but like, whatever, you know. And that was the last time I heard from them, because they thought that what I had posted, like, I was so mean, I was so cold-hearted and on that shit. I'm like, so there are cases where a tasteless joke can and will come about. Were some of James Gunn's jokes tasteless? Yes, they were. But you know what, man? If there is no type of evidence that would even put a little bit of a hint that he likes molesting little kids, or he's actually tried to solicit minors for sex or whatever, you know, unless he's floating around on a lost episode of Dateline with Chris Hansen, the cookies are on the table. Oh, that sure is good, honey. You know, I drove 5,000 miles just to come and meet you. Oh, yeah. Well, that's great. Did you bring the condoms? Oh, yes. I brought the condoms, chocolate flavored condoms. Yes, I did. Well, make yourself comfortable. I'm going to go get dressed. You do that. And then Chris Hansen just comes out of nowhere. Hey, how you doing? Have a seat. I'm Chris Hansen with Dateline. You can look it up for you younger guys that don't know what we're talking about. Chris Hansen, Dateline to Catch a Predator. All Chris Hansen and his team would do, they would run around, they would like rent out these nice spacious houses or whatever, and then you had like this fucking crack internet pedophilia team that be online pretending to be minors, and they would like lure these losers from like miles and miles and miles away. True story. Oh my God. True story. True story. I got to tell you guys this. Long story short, at my job, we had, you guys remember, for those of you that watch Chris Hansen's To Catch a Predator episodes, do you guys remember the one with the rabbi from Virginia Look that one up if you don't know what I'm talking about. Long story short, that rabbi actually tried to get employment at my job. And it was so funny because I'm looking at this guy and I'm going, this dude's face looks so fucking familiar. And there was like 2 other people that said the same thing. One of my coworkers, I think his name was Nick, he goes, damn, Lee, I think I recognize that dude. I'm like, where from? Like, I've been trying to like figure it out. It's like, I think he might be a child molester or something. I said, dude, that's some cold shit to be saying about somebody. You sure about that, dog? He's like, well, let me do something real quick. So Nick goes and he asks around, he asks for the guy's name, and he does a Bing Google search or whatever, and he actually finds the Dateline to Catch a Predator episode with this dude. And man, he took that intel right to the president and the owners of the company. And as soon as they found out, they're like, no, you nigga, you've got to go. he was gone. They got don't let the door hit you in the ass, brother. They got rid of his ass so damn fast. Whew, it wasn't even funny, man. It wasn't even funny. But look that up. When you see him, you go, yeah, he looked like a creepy little bastard. But unless there's some type of evidence that's out there, you know, that shows that James Gunn is, you know what, I gotta, just as I was consistent and all that, and I defended Chris Hardwick, I've actually got to defend James Gunn to the point that as soon as this show is over, I'm actually going to sign that damn petition. Honestly, I think the man should be given his job back. If he has been a model citizen since he has been under employment of Marvel and directing these films, meeting all media obligations and everything, if there hasn't been any type of similar incidents to the type of jokes that he was putting out after he signed on to Marvel, then you know what? No, I'm sorry. I don't believe in going back. Let's rewind the hands of time because it's so divine that we're going to get you into trouble. No, I don't. I think that's a bunch of BS, quite honestly. So yeah, should he be reinstated? I'm actually with Big Dave on this one, and yeah, like I said, it took a person like Big Dave to really make me take a step back and just look at some of the things that I had been defending and going, okay, well, if I'm going to be consistent in this area, I've got to be consistent all across the board. And that's my message to you guys. You know, don't just pick one battle because you think it's convenient. If you're going to act one way, be consistent all across. You just got to. You just got to, man. You got to. See, what else? So that was one other thing. One other thing that kind of jumped in my mind a little bit. If Disney were to not make any type of a newfound commitment, if you will, to Batista and crew that want James Gunn back, let's say there was no resolution, let's say James Gunn is not reinstated and the script is messed with, well, what happens? Would Dave Batista put his money where his mouth is, and would he roll out? Well, if he were to roll out, who could possibly replace Dave Batista as Drax? I mean, that's a little bit hard to imagine, but you know, my list right now is very, very short. Honorable mention, Bill Goldberg. Let's make him clean shaven, have him put on a little bit more bulk. He can do it. Bill Goldberg will get a nod. Tom Hardy. He has shown such great range as an actor, a lot of range. Whether you need him muscular or you need him very skinny, you need him with a British accent, you need him with an American accent, a very universal actor. Tom Hardy would be very good. Liev Schreiber, for those of you that's like, huh? Sabretooth, Hugh Jackman, Wolverine, Sabretooth. I've seen his build currently and not too shabby. He would need to be under a certain regimen, whatever Chris Pratt was doing, he would definitely need to be under that regimen. And a long shot wouldn't happen, not unless he was able to negotiate one sweet ass deal. Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, I think, would be one hell of a Drax. The comedic timing and all that. But that's the thing. I don't know if it would feel more like, because see, with Dave Batista, it's like he embodies Drax, like he is Drax. And my biggest fear is that if you were to cast Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, it would feel like Dwayne Johnson in makeup. So I'm not really sure if he would. I mean, I'm just thinking off the size. I'm picturing the paint, all that stuff. I don't know. That's a long shot. That's a long shot for me because I can see it visually, but whether or not he'd be able to really hammer that down, not really sure. But those are some names that's kind of jumping out at me right now that should be considered. Let me see if there's some other topics I want to get into because we're actually getting ready to wrap up the stream here. Yeah, I only got one more topic I want to get into, and I'm just paying attention to the time here. Yeah, I can actually go into this topic. Okay, so real quick, it's my favorite time of the year. Okay, if you're like me, you're into some really good dramas on TV. You know, we got a couple of more months to go until The Walking Dead, and we see how Andrew Lincoln's character, Rick, goes off into the sunset there. Well, meantime, we had just this past Monday the season 4 premiere of Better Call Saul. And man, what a emotional roller coaster. If there was ever a time to jump on the Better Call Saul bandwagon, it's this season. We aren't sure which one it is, but there are strong indications that maybe Aaron Paul or Bryan Cranston is going to be showing up towards the end of this season. It's very tight-lipped right now, but one of them is supposed to be popping up, supposedly, which is supposed to make a lot of fans like in euphoria, right? So season 4, I love the way it basically had picked up. Of course, Jimmy, oh my God, the fast forward to the present, still black and white. Last we had saw Jimmy, he had a freaking heart attack, it looked like, while he was at work for freaking Cinnabon. So you fast forward, and the season 4 opener, Jimmy's in the hospital, x-rays, tests, all that was done. And long story short, he just had a panic attack. That's all it was. And it got really scary for him as he was getting ready to leave out the door, as a nurse had wanted to see his identification card and social security info because they were having a hard time putting him in the system. Eventually, all that got worked out. And that's pretty much it. As far as what's going on with President Jimmy, that was it. Now we go back. And remember, the last time we had saw Jimmy, he had just left his brother's Chuck's house. And Chuck had decided, I'm done with life. Chuck killed himself. So we find in this episode, Jimmy, without putting too much away for those of you that haven't seen it yet, Jimmy is basically dealing with the death of Chuck. And the way he is grieving about it, it's just so heartbreaking. It's a tearjerker because at one minute you see Kim, who is giving him a big old bottle of vodka or whatever, and they're drinking, and you're going, okay, that's the good shit. That's got a lot of proof. He's going to be knocked out in no time. 24 hours later, Jimmy is still wide awake, hasn't slept, still mourning. But as all of this is going on, Mike leaves his job as the parking lot attendant, as he has a new job. He pretty much makes his own hours. We see that he gets a check for 10 grand. And there is a company called Mardi Gras. So he does a little bit of research about this company. And we're kind of, before the episode ends, we're actually kind of able to see what it is that Mike is doing. It looks like Mike is being paid by a certain company to go and infiltrate high-tech buildings where there should be a lot of high security maintenance, and he tries to figure out ways to get into a building and points out all the security flaws in his report afterwards. So he's being paid some pretty damn good money, but you know, I would like to believe that not too far away is maybe going to be Gus, considering what all had went down from last season. So that's what's going on with Mike. We also see what had came about with Hector's stroke. Not putting anything out there with you guys, but we did see a little bit of a Gus cameo in this season 4 premiere. Things pretty much had ended. Things pretty much had ended with Howard meeting up with Kim and Jimmy to talk about how he feels that he was possibly responsible for the death of Chuck. And he starts going into it details wise with Jimmy and Kim about how they were trying to force Chuck out of the company, blah, 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 logistics or whatever. And for Jimmy to see how Howard was emotionally a wreck, it put such a smile on his face. I swear to God, Jimmy had got a goddamn erection, because now all of a sudden he's smiling, he's whistling, he's asking people if they want some coffee, if they want a bite to eat. And it pretty much just goes off like that. And you're going, Jimmy, what an asshole you are, man. So it's really starting to look like we're seeing the Saul Goodman character really come on out there. But I tell you what, you know, if there was ever a time to get behind a series that has really great acting, well produced, fantastic writing, hook, line, sinker, here's the carrot, you know, just keep you going, give you the cliffhanger until the next episode. I think now more than ever. And I will say this, and I will admit that when you watch the first season of Better Call Saul, you're kind of going, a little slow pace, a little weak. But I promise you, as the episodes progress, especially once the characters are able to find their own groove, they're gelling well with each other, and the more the episodes progress, the darker, the heavier, the more complex, more entertaining the writing gets. And I would have to say, based off what they had did with last season, you're going, okay, how are they going to top? And I got to tell you, just the path that they continue to be on, I'm telling you, this season 4 premiere, I'm very impressed with the tone that was set. And like I said, for Better Call Saul fans, for fans of Breaking Bad, I definitely feel you guys need to be paying attention to this season. I don't know if it's going to be Brian. Seriously. And even if I knew, I wouldn't tell you guys, because I want you guys to enjoy the ride. But I don't know if it's going to be Bryan Cranston or if it's going to be Aaron Paul that's going to be returning to the series. But the way that Breaking Bad and Better Call Saul fans figure it is, well, shit, when Bryan Cranston pops up, you know, when Walter White shows up, you would think that's going to be the end of the series. Not necessarily. Not necessarily. All right, so I think other than that, looking in the chat here, shout out to Mark, shout out to Austin, shout out to Lee Strack, shout out to Kevin, shout out to DJ Subia, shout out to Jermaine, shout out to Steven. No, I have not watched the Tables for 3 episode yet. I'm actually behind. I've got a couple of Table for 3 episodes. I'm a little bit behind on NXT. I tried very hard to watch Impact Wrestling from last week. I just found myself fast forwarding that motherfucker. I've got New Japan on the DVR and some ROH. So I'm going to be binging like a mother. And I'm actually looking forward to next week's show, because I'll be able to talk a little bit about some of those guys. See, shout out to Kevin, Beep Jr. Shout out to Beep Jr. Let's see if I'm missing anybody else here. Shout out to, going back into the other chat here. Shout out to Mike via Facebook. LeBron James isn't paying the entire cost. Hey, not the entire cost, but he's paying a little something, something. Nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with that. Any little bit helps, quite honestly. Oh yeah, before we get ready in the stream, man, let me give a shout out to our Patreon members, because without these guys, they're pretty much the heartbeat, man. They keep the shows going free for you guys. By the way, for you Patreon members, the plan is after I get home from work, I'm gonna be recording the 30 with Lee episode covering In the Heat of the Night. I got sidetracked with some other stuff, sadly. It was somewhat important because it tied into the trip in Chicago and some other stuff. So I was dealing with some logistics. But now that all that's been squared away and everything is good, now I'm going to be able to sit down Wednesday and I'll be able to record that. I can't wait. I'm looking forward to talking about that great Sidney Poitier Rod Steiger classic. So, by the way, if you aren't a Patreon member, do sign up, man. $5 a month, 30-day access to new episodes of 30 with Lee, Wrestling with the Topics, that's hosted by me and Tammy. We'll also give you guys some exclusive audio, video content, some retro stuff. Patreon.com/RCWR Show. A lot of great stuff. So Patreon, you guys will get that hookup, as I mentioned. And by the way, we got to recognize our Patreon members. Like I said earlier, without these guys, just wouldn't be possible to continue to get episodes like what you're checking out right now for free. Episode made possible in part by the following Patreon members. Shout out to the beautiful and the lovely Courtney Summers, who has the Wrestling and Metal podcast that's going to be premiering as soon as the All In event concludes. So what a great way to pretty much kick off a new show, a new podcast, you know, fresh off the heels of the All In event. Shout out to Michael Wolf. Shout out to John Davis. Shout out to my good friend Anthony Missionary Thomas. Check them out. Wrestling Soup, him, Joy Numbers, John Draper. Thursday nights, 9:30 p.m. Eastern on Mixler.com. Can't catch it live. You can also tune in and check that bad boy out on the demand and on the downloads wherever good podcasts can be heard. Also, shout out to Joe Raymond Jr. All right, at this point, your next edition of the RCWR Show is going to be coming your way on Tuesday, August the 14th. Be kind, rewind, check out previous episodes you might have missed on the downloads and on demand. Good stuff right there. And that's going to do it. For those of you waiting on the audio, honestly, give me about 20 minutes and I should have this ready and good to go for you guys. All right. You haven't subscribed, subscribe, hit the bell icon so you get notified, hit the like, smash them likes. And that's going to do it. I'm wishing all of you all to be safe. Most importantly, be kind to one another. May the good news be yours. Good night. Good morning.